If we were to enter Numenon's restricted archives with a minimum of fuss, then we must secure the permission of the Forum. First, however, we shall need to enlist the cooperation of a member to broach the matter on our behalf. Who do you think might be inclined to assist us? No one springs to mind? What of Scholarch Montacane? He did come to Jiraha's defense during the inquiry, after all. 'Tis settled. Let us head to Phenomenon and see if he's willing to help us once more.
Wishtala is now accompanying you. Keep her at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. You can leave Wisht if you wish.
I apprenticed to Master Matoya at the age of 7, and labored under her tutelage for a full decade. I never had the chance to attend the studium. Neither did the Incred, as I recall. Soon after Master Lusoix took him in off the streets, he was put in the care of another Archon. His was a rigorous and practical education in the arts of espionage and survival. I sometimes wonder what my life might have been like had I pursued studies here instead. Oh, never mind me. 'Twas just an idle thought.
Ah, visitors. And quite esteemed ones at that. What may I do for you?
Pray forgive the intrusion, Scholarch, but we were hoping you might help us secure permission to enter Numenon's restricted archives.
Oh ho. No furtive forays into the stacks this time, Ed. I applaud this newfound sense of propriety. Yet in all this wide world of comparative serenity, what so compels you to disturb a vault of forbidden wisdom? Fascinating. I had no idea such a technique existed.
I would have been surprised if you had. If my assumption is correct, the research left behind by House Demir has lain dormant in Charlayan's archives for many centuries.
And if you unearth this research, what then? Surely you don't intend to cross over into the void?
That is, in fact, precisely what we intend.
To what end, pray tell?
To develop a method of traversing the rift, for one, that I might keep my word to a distant friend. Sentiment aside, I have journeyed to the end of existence. I have heard, felt, and thought endlessly about the truth of our world and the echo of its future. And yet I want to understand everything, to unravel it all down to its very last secret. What scholar worthy of the name wouldn't force open a void gate or two if a grand revelation was the promised reward?
Ha ha ha. Marvelous. An audacious proposal worthy of Master Matoya herself. And after hearing the whys and the wherefores, I for one do not believe you would use the knowledge for ill. I see no reason not to present your request for the forum's consideration. Although, your petition would be better received if you also had the support of another well-placed acquaintance. Why, Master Fortunald, of course. He can hardly ignore an earnest request from his dear children's most treasured comrades.
I was hesitant to approach him directly, but there is no denying that having Master Fortunault on our side would tip the balance in our favor. Very well. We will pay a visit to the Leveler estate and plead our case.
One last thing before you go. I would consider it a personal favor if you might share with me the discoveries you make in the void. My appetite for knowledge is every bit as insatiable as yours, I'd wager, so if you could see your way to indulging an old man's curiosity.
Of course, Scholarch. We will be sure to pass on any revelations.
Mistress Shinikri, Mistress Wishtala, how may I be of service?
We've come to speak with Master Fortunault. Is he home, by any chance?
Yes, the master is in residence. I shall inform him that he has guests. Well. Amalliance would invite you inside for tea, but I assume this is not a social visit. You have some matter of import to discuss? Then pray proceed, you have my full attention. Well, I suppose I should praise you for following the proper protocols this time around.
Scholarch Montacane expressed much the same sentiment. I assure you, will not attempt to circumvent the forum's authority again, unless it is absolutely necessary, of course.
Of course. You do understand that the restricted archives are restricted for good reason, yes. If no pressing need exists, then why risk the consequences of employing this forbidden knowledge?
For a brother who misses his sister. She was his guardian and his friend, a selfless hero who crossed the rift between worlds to save her homeland from horror and suffering. But the brother has given up on thoughts of reunion. He spends his efforts elsewhere, watching over a people yet healing from the flames of the final days, loyal to his duty while betraying the longing in his heart. 'Tis no vital mission, perhaps, reuniting these siblings. But it feels a worthy cause to pursue, all the same. As one who feared losing his own loved ones, and spent years in research to prevent it, surely you appreciate how painful such a separation must be.
Reflections are still very much a mystery to us. Offering to share your experiences in the first should constitute a fair exchange for our cooperation. Do not celebrate just yet. The forum must still be convinced. I will add your request to the list of today's deliberations, and deliver the decision to you at the Baldessian Annex.
The matter is out of our hands. All that remains is to return to the Annex and await word of the forum's decision. So, what did the forum decide?
To put it bluntly, Master Matoya has burned some bridges here in Charlayan, and salted the earth for good measure. When it became clear that her student was the petitioner in question, Well, no few members voiced their discontent. Then the chamber was reminded, in no uncertain terms, I might add, of the incredible debt we owe to you and your companions. That served to silence the grumbles and stiffen a few spines, and it was agreed that allowing you entry to the archives was the least we could do in return.
That is wonderful news. Thank you both for speaking on our behalf.
Yes, well. As I am sure you are aware, this permission was not extended lightly. Forbidden knowledge is to be treated with the utmost caution, and there will be repercussions if it is not. I wish you well in your endeavor, and bid you good day. Ever the same, that one.
Uncompromising? Aye, but that very stoicism is exactly what Charlatan needed to guide it through not one, but two exoduses. That went rather well, I think. As a child, I dreamed up any number of schemes for getting my hands on those forbidden tomes. And now I can simply walk in through the door. Our focus will be on finding House Demir's research notes, of course, but the thought of so much knowledge at my disposal has me feeling a little giddy. I'd like to set out as soon as...
You'll be heading directly to the archives from here, I presume?
You presume correctly.
Then you'll want to speak with the index page when you arrive. It's been instructed to grant you access to the restricted section.
Excellent. Once again, we thank you for all your help.
Oh, it was my pleasure, believe me. May you find the knowledge you seek.
Shall we?
Waishtala is now accompanying you. You can, if you...
To think the set of instructions I laughingly imagined may actually exist but yalms away from where you found me napping. If I had known of Alzadal III's exploits sooner, I could well have saved myself days of research. Even a children's book might have pointed me in the right direction. To achieve the impossible, one must needs be flexible of mind and look beyond conventional wisdom. A lesson I had already learned, but clearly not taken to heart.
Archon YSHTOLA and guest identified. Do you wish to proceed into the restricted archives? Follow me, if you would. Watch your step, and please note that the use of naked flames is discouraged.
If House Demir's notes are to be found anywhere, it will be here. Let us begin.
Today, in a world not my own, I met the most beautiful void-born creature. She was so unlike her ravenous brethren. Eyes blazing not with hunger, but trembling, like a candle's flame, threatening to flicker out at any moment. I wonder if she is even the proper word. Such distinctions seem inconsequential. Insignificant, even. All that matters is the love I feel for this exquisite, transcendent being.
Though you are tempted to read more, this does not seem to be the volume you are seeking.
In the year 1564 of the 6th astral era, the Umul-Jaa summoned Ifrit, their patron god. Accounts describe the being as a gigantic, lizard-like being with a potent command of fire aspect magics. If we consider that primal summoning is an act fueled by faith and prayer, it is unsurprising, if not expected, that the resulting deiform entity should manifest the appearance and powers with which it is attributed by its worshippers. What, then, might emerge from the ether should one who believes in an almighty omniscience attempt the same ritual? Would the scholar himself grace us with his presence? Some other embodiment of divine sagacity? Could this man-made God truly be all-knowing? And if it were, whence would such knowledge arise? I myself have many questions concerning the nature of the ancient world. With no spell to transport me back to the days of old, could I instead summon a being possessed of encyclopedic wisdom of every age? Yet with no means to verify its pronouncements, how could one be certain they were true?
Though your mind spins with the possibilities discussed therein, this does not seem to be the volume you are seeking.
The following pages detail an advanced method for manipulating rift-spanning apertures as devised by Nuhashon, the 9th Patriarch of House Damir. We present these research notes to the faculty of Charlayan's Studium as both a token of our friendship and an expression of our boundless admiration.
You appear to have located the forbidden volume you seek. Wishtala will need to make the final confirmation.
Have something you'd like to show me, do you? My apologies, I flipped open but a single book and was completely absorbed by the contents. Well done, Shinikri. I think you may have found our prize.
Yes, the ether signature is unmistakable. I've felt the traces of House Damir's resonance many times at the Great Work. Time to see what all the fuss was about. Among the ranks of the Void Sent, there exist entities with the power to call forth their brethren from beyond. The species known as Atomos, however, is uniquely prodigious in this regard. From its distended maw, it can expel an endless procession of void-born creatures, a talent which sorely tested the Radiant Host in its battles against these abominations. Surmising that the entity itself was acting as a void gate, we endeavored to capture a small specimen and subsequently examine its physiological structure. Our findings reveal that the Atomos had absorbed a planar fissure into its own flesh, which it could expand at will into a functioning gate. Upon further analysis, we identified an ethereal wave pattern emitted during this process. a pattern we were able to emulate by passing crystal-stored ether through a specially designed prism. We proceeded to embed said prism into an arcane simulacrum, thus completing what we have dubbed our artificial atomos. How could I have been so blind to the possibilities? This species, not to mention its ability to summon void scent, has been discussed among academics for years now. Just before the advent of the 7th Umbral Calamity, we received reports of Atomos sightings from every corner of Eorzea. Surely you witnessed an appearance yourself in the course of your travels. And still, House Daemir went and built a mock Atomos of their very own. I'm not surprised the Archons consigned their work to a restricted archive. It was no easy task, but at last we've unearthed the volume we've been searching for. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted to stay longer, see what other forbidden titles might be lurking on these shelves. But that would be abusing the very special privilege we've been granted now, wouldn't it? Better not.
As much as I would love to start crafting the Atomos, I'm afraid this is far outside my field of expertise. Fortunately, we know a Hanish alchemist who would be delighted to involve herself in our House Daemir project. Our business here is concluded, for the moment. Please pass on our regards to the forum.
Your message will be conveyed. Should you wish to indulge in more forbidden literature, I will be here. Patron mode disabled. Security mode engaged.
If anyone can help us, Nidhana can. I say we return to Thavnair and look for her at the great work.
Waishtala tells me you are pursuing a most fascinating study. And that you want me to be a part of it?
I have no doubt you will be interested. This research log should speak for itself.
Will it now? By the sisters. This is the mark of House Daemir. I never even knew such a work existed.
Few should. It was sequestered in Numenon's restricted archives, after all.
It was? But that means every word within is forbidden knowledge, a forbidden tome filled with forbidden research, and you put it right into my unsuspecting hand. I can hardly wait to read it. To think the Daemir were developing such marvelous techniques so long ago. How many innovations have been lost over the centuries, I wonder.
Now that you've glanced over the notes, what say you to helping us build a new mock Atomos?
I say yes. 1,000 times yes. Work on a Daemir project that had even the redoubtable scholars of Charlayan trembling in their sandals. No alchemist of the great work could resist.
You are a woman after my own heart.
Oh, I suppose I should ask, what do you mean to do with this big-mouthed simulacrum once we've built it? So, there's a secret void gate, and it's sealed in the ruins at the bottom of the bounty? Today is a day of revelations indeed. If the purpose of our man-made Atomus is to expand this hidden portal, then I will need to see it for myself, I think. Manipulating rift-spanning apertures is not the sort of thing you want to attempt without first taking into account every single factor.
Then by all means, accompany us to the vault. I plan to lead us back there shortly, once we've finished gathering the components I require. Charlayan's markets provided the raw aquamarine and pure water crystals. But I might need help obtaining a small quantity of astrally infused water.
For such a liquid, you need go no further than the font of Maya. The ascetics of old once favored the place for their meditations, and the water which pools there now is known to enliven the flow of ether.
That sounds perfect. If you would be so kind as to fill a flask at the pool, I will petition Vertrud to join us. The idea I have in mind won't amount to much without his authority to command the Void Gate. Shall we be about it, then? We meet back here anon.
The boy Murid was glad to hear the news of the Foundation. It means a new life for him and his sister. Archon Wishtala requested that I join you, but of her plans she offered scant detail.
Do you have that flask for me? Yes, this should suffice. Thank you, Shinikri. Look who I came across. Estinine seemed in need of diversion, and we, in turn, may have need of his lance. Right, then. Now that our little party is assembled, let us make our way to the ruins.
Will we have need of Matsya's boat again? Not this time. Once Wishtala informed me of our destination, I arranged for a vessel to be made ready at Akyali.
Your Excellency is ever the gracious host. Shall we?
The ship is yours to command. Our thanks. We set sail at once. Oh, this is so exciting. Al-Zadal's legacy, to see the truth of a legend with mine own eyes. All aboard for the treasure vault.
The ruins alone were impressive enough, but I never dreamed such a treasure lay hidden in the depths of the bounty. It may have been helpful to know this device existed, Your Excellency.
My apologies. The gate was a secret I shared with none but my closest advisors. I feared for what might happen should those with ill intentions learn of its existence.
What is it you're doing now?
There's something I wish to verify. The NOAA reports claim that a short stint into the void carries little risk of etheric imbalance. Should one suffer an injury, however, or if one's expedition drags on longer than intended, that risk becomes significantly greater. Graha theorized that a warding scale would confer protection from the void's corrupting influence. But I would prefer to test that hypothesis before we set foot in the 13th ourselves.
So, this is an experiment of sorts.
Yes, an experiment. Tell me, how would you go about testing the efficacy of the warding scale? Very good. I see you've been paying attention. As Vritra sent his simulacrum, so too shall we rely on a familiar to bear the brunt of any unpleasant consequences. Now, a lowly imp can navigate a fissure, no matter how narrow. Which means an arcane entity of similar stature should be able to manage the same. I hadn't wanted it to come to this, but no other familiars will do, I'm afraid.
I mislike the sound of that. What manner of fiend does she mean to summon?
From ocean rise and cloudbank form, from mountain spring and rainfall storm, from river flow and life be born.
Water, water, froth and foam!
Ready your arms. I fear she's been possessed.
Oh, come now. That was adorable.
Though not my first choice, these familiars I conceived of as a child have the best chance of fitting through the gate. I only wish my younger self had considered a more dignified ending to the creation ritual. In any case, these two should serve us well. This one will bear a warding scale. And when they return from the 13th, we can observe how the talisman, or absence thereof, has affected the progress of the Void's corruption. If I could impose upon you to open the gate. Your Excellency?
Ah, yes, of course.
We should also be wary of void scent slipping through while we conduct our experiment. Estinian, you are to keep Nadana safe from harm.
As you say.
You had best be on your guard as well. Oh, are you volunteering to join the Nixies? I could shrink you down, you know. Let us begin, shall we? the void.